Director of Licensing at the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, Cheho Wena Musa, says public sentiment over the vehicle towing levy has been premature. The levy was proposed as part of measures to reduce road carnage by towing of broken down vehicles stuck on roads, and the DVLA was in charge of collection. Mr. Musa admits the proposed mode of implementation was problematic, but blames negative publicity for the suspension of the levy, saying the public backlash to the initiative received was largely due to misunderstanding of the concept rather than problems associated with the proposed mode of implementation. We're speaking on the pulse with Gifty and Apia.
I'm deeply sad. I have been one of those gentlemen who was at the beginning of the formation of this idea of towing, right down from 2004. Now it is about a mode of implementation. That is where we have the difficulties.
Do you agree that there are problems, fundamental problems?
Very fundamental. Okay. There are fundamental problems. I'm sad about the negative publicity people are having on this. I'm sad about the arguments some people are making about this towing levy because they do not understand. The communication strategy was just beginning to roll out and let people get to understand how this safety levy was supposed to be collected, the usefulness of the road safety, removing these vehicles from the road. The discussions had just started. And then some people rushed in and gave some other indications. The people are saying they don't want to pay because they have not been made to understand yet.
So you think that
it is about the education. Education was just starting. If they had had time for education to go through, I think majority of the people will see the need for it and they will agree to pay. Probably people are saying they are not interested in paying because maybe the amount is high. We'll look at all those things. There is no project that you implement without having problems. Some people of Ghana, the loudspeakers is not majority of Ghanaians, I should say, but the loudspeakers have taken it out as if they are talking for the whole country, and I think that is not right.
And you think those people who are speaking out, they largely misunderstand?
They largely probably misunderstand the whole concept and project.
Okay.
PLA is facing challenges rolling out reforms, including introduction of new driver license cards and making its services accessible online. Despite its inability to provide timelines, the authority remains optimistic and has already explored measures for data protection.
So one, in terms of outcomes, we are changing the card. One. Okay. Secondly, we have changed the software that will enable very fast processing of the final products, like the testing, all those things that go inside, so that there's no time delay. Third, we're going to capture applicants just once in your lifetime. So once you come for a learner permit, you don't need to come again to be captured for, when you pass your exams. So we have reduced that. Fourthly, what we're going to do was that we're going to launch an application that you can download on your smart card, on your smartphone. And that one, you will be able to access DVLA, activities, services before you come. You will know how much you are going to pay before you come to our office. So if a Goro boy is saying that, oh, Charlie, give me 200 Ghana cedis, when your invoice is telling you you are paying 50 Ghana cedis,
then it becomes a matter of choice.
It becomes a matter of choice. If you are stupid enough to give it to him, fine, go ahead. We haven't stopped. I mean, they've asked us to suspend introducing the smart card.
So all the data that we process nationwide are stored centrally at the head office. And that is why now we can even print licenses within a few days. So as they process the applicants, the data is hitting the database instantly. I remember before we did this, there was a test that we conducted, and there was this person in China trying to knock on our door, like hello, hello, trying to enter. We found it, but we blocked everything. So the data, yes, is protected. Nobody can access it from outside.
From outside?
Even within, we still have levels. Who can see what about who and all that. But we'll do our best to protect the data as much as we can.
If that happens, what are the measures that you have, laid out to counter it?
So we have backup systems. It's being hosted. I don't want to mention the name, but it's being hosted. So everything that we do at the production site, a copy of the data is sent to the backup. So if something happens at the head office, we can switch to the backup and make sure that business is carried out.
Well, we have been speaking with some drivers on the toll levy, which has now been suspended, and here are their reactions.
That's breakdown vehicles, at least you have police patrol cars. So if patrol cars are just on the way, they can see this car has breakdown somewhere. So they have to call. You see, they have to call their towing cars to come and tow it. Because I'm here, I'm working from here to La Paz or from here to Amasamai. And if there's a big truck on the way, I'm a driver. I'm looking for passengers, so I have to pass by. But it's duty for the police, you see, to call, because they have everything in their car, to call other police station or any nearby station that there's a breakdown car. If they didn't come and tow it, it will bring accidents. That's the work of police, but for you drivers there, we can't do anything about it.
And I'm a car and one car's name Dawson. You beat me a service. Look at the majority of cars at Wagana. The says you be young 2 in car. The cars in the grass has no great way. How you 2 can yes and the Kwakusi. Now who to how the Kwakusi in farm? What do you come a shop and ask ye the coin? And gay ye, Nemo ye miss as a young hobois. Can I even hear the echo? Send ye be a found. Oh, a young puna who to negas or the Kuni pan shop and can see me anyhow. Na wuto no dukwa kosi na yard ni yewubi asase no so edahe ntia no so na de a ekire madwen pi wo ho.
That's why we use reflectors on the car. Every car have, I think we have about 2 or 3 reflectors, one on the side of the car, and we have triangle reflectors, you see. So that's what I mean for towing this and towing helpers, because I personally I have my workshop, and if you tow the car you can't send it to my workshop. Where have you send the car to? So you are saying there before, then later on I'll go break towing car to come and tow the car to my workshop. It can't be possible. They should give the towing service number 2. Make it like how we make the police numbers 18-555. So if you get breakdown, you just call them.
The best thing about it is your cars need a funny solution. I bet me if you want them. Send a bear and cost any havoc be our coin so. And they say, the best number say that to be afraid to win car. And I'll be afraid fit for no my bayano in them. Mobile push us be pa. No, on my in them, mamma, let me if you coin him. At the end of the day, you coin him so traffic. I be hard, you're right. And I make medical can say a ban is on. Obepe ways and means be I'll bet me a year at me if you coin so. Now, fit in the year when you mamma. And as you obey, others will wait me Pia SBB. Now, Banny say, be I see a 2 SKB and Sana my way. In case ye see, I'm not fine, say, me, Namako tree blow. Now, mechanical say, tree blow, quite to see here. May then not me now, man, son of my bit to a mammy.
Well, we're taking a break on Johnny's Prime, but we still have our big stories yet to come through. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in a bit. Now, President Akufo-Addo has charged members of the Council of State to be circumspect and credible when discharging their core duties for advising him and other state institutions on national issues. The President, at the swearing-in of the retired Chief Justice Georgina Wood onto the Council, also urged its members to use the residual powers they have to intervene either in the area of law-making or when a particular institution or authority of government is stepping out of bounds. Latif Idris has more.
The President was speaking at the first official meeting with the entirety of the Council after they were sworn into office on February 7. In his opening remarks, the President commended Council members for the initiative they've taken to end galamsey.
I want to thank you very much for the work that you've already been doing, even though we have not met. And that is dealing with the various appointments that have come to you, and also for the fact-finding mission that you decided to undertake over this galamsey phenomenon. As far as the appointments are concerned, On my part here, I've been very lucky about the expeditious and efficient manner in which you've dealt with them, and also for the advice that has come through you, Mr. Chairman, on some of them. Been very welcome. I appreciate it very much. I was very impressed when I discovered from the newspapers that you had taken this decision to go and see for yourself at first hand what the galamsey phenomenon was doing to our countryside.
The council's chairman, Nana Otu-Sriboa II, assured the president of timely and credible advice.
Council has already held interactive sessions with a number of sector ministers and their other regulatory bodies in the land, water, administration, and sanitation sectors. These meetings extensively deliberated on issues of policy relevance, such as small-scale mining, including galamsey, and others. Ministers invited for discussions included those responsible for lands and natural resources, sanitation and water resources, and the relevant agencies, including the Minerals Commission, the Environmental Protection Authority.
The immediate past Chief Justice, Georgina Theodore Wood, who was sworn into the council Tuesday morning, said the president and the people of Ghana can count on her loyalty to serve.
President, I do recognize that largely the role, constitutional role of the Council of State is consultative and advisory. But I do also recognize the importance, crucial importance it plays in the governance of this nation. And having listened to you a number of times spell out your vision and the goals that you have for this country. And through various means, job creation, improving the economy, the fight against corruption and impunity, all which are meant to enhance the lives of the good people of Ghana.
Council members later had an in-camera meeting with the president.
Well, President Akufo-Addo's nominee for the District Assembly's Common Fund job, Arina Toshi Addo, says she intends to address the challenge of delays in disbursement of monies to the assemblies. Appearing before Parliament's Appointment Committee for voting on Tuesday, she promised to table a proposal to the government on introducing a system where the district assemblies will bank their funds.
I have some proposals that I intend to bring to Parliament. For example, I'm looking at a system where Parliament would allow me, if I'm given the nod, to borrow money from banks, if not all of it, part of it. Once Parliament has already given me that's if I'm given the nod. Once we already have the power to be able to invest some or part of the money for it to accrue some interest, I am looking at, with the permission of my minister, bringing certain proposals like this to Parliament to find out whether or not in certain circumstances, not all of it, part of it, just to keep the timelines so that there's no disappointment, so that they can plan and manage their areas, especially new ones like you're talking about. I'm thinking of innovative things like that, maybe being allowed at certain times to borrow money for them and then pay when the fund comes in.
Another concern that came up had to do with the amount sent into the fund. Member of the committee, Neelan Tivanapoy, alleged recent happenings suggest the fund receives only 3%. Here's what she had to say about tackling the problem.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to work with Parliament on that. I think that there has to be a body, a committee, local government, finance, civil society, NGOs. I think the first thing is we need always to determine how much should have come into the common fund, whether 5%, 7.5%. At each particular point, we need to determine that and we need to fight for that. While I was a member of parliament, I never had a question, anybody asking the finance minister whether what he ever paid DACF was 5%. So they just took what they got, and you'd realize they never got even 5%. I'm going to lobby members of parliament on that. Send you information on what I get, what I think is the percentage, and ask you to find means through consultation, question answering, whatever it is. I will liaise with my minister and make sure that I get some of you working on that. Thank you.
Honourable nominee, this is crucial. Parliament decides that the Finance Ministry should give the fund 7%. And over the years, they've not even been giving 5%. I see. I'm not sure that this report has been formally made to the House, but it's a matter we should take very seriously, and we urge you to provide the data, maybe for the past 5 years, to persuade us that indeed that is the case. Then we will stand by and ensure that the Finance Ministry refunds the difference.
Former President Kufuor has cautioned political leaders to take the challenge of unemployment among the youth seriously in democracies, else risk suffering security challenges arising from frustration. According to him, the development of economies have failed to take into consideration population growth, hence the absence of jobs for the youth, which could result in constitution being undermined, as seen in the Arab Spring. He made this remark when members of the International Democratic Union paid a courtesy call on him at his residence.
Things are happening that should make some of us a bit nervous, or all of us. Because when you look at the Arab Spring, for instance, the people wanted self-expression, which is a feature of democracy, all right? But where there's no party with a coherent structure of thoughts, like freedom of expression, freedom of choice, and then private sector development to absorb the teeming youth, because the populations are getting unmanageable. Educated youth, they want aspiration, and they can't get it where the economies are not keeping, development of economies are not keeping pace with the population explosion. Every year, these universities and other tertiary institutions are putting out hundreds of thousands of students, qualified, very intelligent, in the age of IT. They read, they understand, they see whatever is happening around them, around the world. If such resourceful youth would leave universities and not counting their cousins who even haven't gone in there, but who are all smart, and they can't hope for gainful employment, then I tell you, there's a measure of intolerance that even regular good governance may not be able to cope with. And when you've got such trained minds with healthy bodies not having hope, you have them around, then if you are not careful, regular systems get undermined.
Deputy Chair of IDU, Tony Clement, said the group takes inspiration from Ghana's gains in democracy and remain committed to supporting other countries to develop in freedom and the ideology of the International Democratic Union.
We can continue to learn from your example. I know that the current NPP does that here, but you are also, I think, a representative who seeks to connect the economic policies with the essence of why we pursue those. We don't pursue those as accountants. We don't pursue those as money counters. We pursue them because we want freedom. That is part of the human soul. And that is, I want you to know, that continues to inspire all of us in the conservative movement throughout the entire world. What you talked about, freedom, the ability to make one's choices in one's life without the nanny state dictating, but having social compassion at the same time. Because whether we have inspiration from holy books or whether it's just the inspiration of humanity, we understand that people have to be lifted up. So that's a long way of saying thank you. Thank you for your inspiration over all these years to our sister party, but also thank you for the example that you continue to display in your thoughts and your actions. We are very much appreciative.
The IUDU meeting, which is the first in Africa, is hosted by the MPP and ends on June 21. That's Wednesday, June 21. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break on the bulletin, but still to come. Nigeria's Inspector General of Police is urging the authorities in Ghana to be wary of the activities of criminal elements who exploit loopholes in the country's security network to perpetrate crime.
He has two passports, Nigerian and Ghanaian passports. And like I said, his family and children are based in Ghana here.
We're hoping to bring you a lot more and the various strands to this particular story, because it has several other implications, including how come the passport office is able to issue a passport to a Nigerian. We're taking a break. We'll bring you business news thereafter.
Hello, good evening. Thank you very much for joining me on business. Government might not struggle in raising the required funds for the energy sector bonds. This is because one of the biggest institutional investors in the country, SNIT, has indicated its preparedness to take some of the bonds. Dr. John Ofori-Tinkwine is Director General of SNIT.
This is a government of Ghana bond.
To energy sector bond that they're going to raise.
I think that my investment division is working on that now. I think that once the deal synopsis is given, and we'll look at the risk and the return. I mean, mind you, we still have quite a bit of government receivables in terms of bonds that we already hold with the government. So maybe in some way, shape, or form, again, diversification may be necessary. But everything is for sale if the price is right. So if the deal synopsis is good and the return is good and the risk is fine, to the extent that the bond is, the underlying assets are solid, and we think that they can throw off the cash flows that are being promised, I'm all ready to buy.
Thank you so much.
The Managing Director of EcoBank, Dan Saki, says he sees the resumption of the National Identification Project by government as critical in reducing the rising levels of non-performing loans in the banking industry. The National ID Project, the CEO of the National Identification Authority, NIA, recently disclosed it will start issuing instant national IDs in September this year. Mr. Saki says this will make it easier to identify businesses and individuals the bank lent to.
Already we are happy with the trends we see, because we've seen that virtually, I think week in, week out, every bank is announcing a reduction in rates. I'm sure that as consumers we are looking at a faster reduction, but we believe that as the factors are tackled step by step, we'll see a gradual reduction. And that reduction, we believe, will filter through to the final consumer.
What are some of those critical factors that need to happen for us to see that quick run through? Recently, the head of banking supervision was making an appeal to the banks that let's see more faster drop in the lending rates, and not even base rate, lending rates to customers. And what do you think are these things that are critical so that we can see the reduction that we're all looking for, so that we can all walk into EcoBank to secure credit?
I think it will not be the entire game, the major game changer, but it will not be the entire thing that will drive, but it will be a major game changer. One, if it can happen, it will drive consumer credit, because today a lot of people are outside the banking sector because they cannot be ID'd effectively and efficiently. If the banks arrive at a position where they are able to ID people effectively, like I said earlier on, that serves as a deterrent to people who want to default easily because they know they can disappear into the system. As we get to that level and deal with the issue of identification, obviously cost of credit will reflect accordingly.
Now, MTN Ghana says it is prepared to implement the free roaming charges in Africa if it is brought up by regulators. Subscribers in Europe are no longer paying for roaming charges after years of agitations by several interest groups. This has led to calls for regulators in the African region to push for similar benefits for subscribers in Africa. Neil Kojo-Ganson is General Manager of Consumer Marketing at MTN.
For us as a telco, we're much more ready. As MTN is one of the leading operators in Africa, it is for us, with our political partners, with our government partners, with our regulator partners, to come on board and ask ourselves, what are we going to build for the continent as a whole? It is not just an issue of MTN, but it's an issue that we would ensure that when the discussion comes up, we're part of the discussion because, like I said earlier on, the customer is the focus. The customer needs is what we want to resolve out there. So as much as we put together the AU teams that we have, the ECOWAS blocks that we have, those are the things that we need to engage on. And once it comes up there as the leading telco in the continent, we'll be more than happy to be part of that discussion.
But you can also raise it. You can also raise it.
Well, in other forums, we do raise it. I mean, it's not on this forum that we don't raise it.
Free roaming charges?
I'm not talking about free specifically. There are other things that has to be talked about in roaming as opposed than free. And I'm saying that if you are a media man, you have done a lot of the work and the listening, you would come to realize that the realization of the free roaming that EU has launched didn't start from a day. It had to be around people, around the group, people as part of the EU, having the same infrastructure and all that. And that's why I'm saying that it's not a point of just raising it for reason's sake without the customers benefiting.
Away from that, leading producers of alcoholic beverages in West Africa, GIHOC Distilleries, has temporarily halted operations in Nigeria. Last year, Nigeria, the largest economy in West Africa, went into an economic recession, making it difficult for businesses and industries to operate. Among the companies affected is GIHOC Distilleries. In an interview with Joy Business, marketing manager of GIHOC, Elvis Blankson, explains it is currently studying the market and will return again when things improve. There's more in the following report.
The state-owned GIHOC Distilleries produces alcoholic beverages to both the West African and European markets. Management of the company has recently taken a decision to hold on to its Nigeria operations following the tough economic times in that country. Among several challenges faced by the company in recent times include currency transaction issues and a significant drop in demands of the various brands. Elvis Blankson is the marketing manager of GIHOC.
GIHOC, we've been in Nigeria and we had few challenges, I think, last year. They were also in recession. If you know, Nigeria was in a bad recession economy last year, and that really affected almost all the foreign companies. You could not...
Including GIHOC?
Including us, of course, including GIHOC. You could not even repatriate your money. You could not bring dollar back to the country, and so all these things. And the economy was really in a bad shape. The dollar, the rate fell so much from 290 to almost 500. And so you could imagine the loss. And so we really had to put our business on hold. Most companies did that. So we actually kept our business on hold. At the moment, we're in Liberia.
In Ghana, however, Elvis Blankson mentioned power supply as a major challenge last year, as the cost of drawing power is huge.
Last year was really not a good year, but I think we have overcome that. The energy has stabilized now. I don't want to go to the past because it's been a challenge that we've been able to resolve and overcome. It is good that now we have a stabilized energy that is really working to our perfection now. Last year, if I tell you the amount of oil we had to buy to power our generator, it will amaze you, but we have overcome that, and it's really impacted on our profits negatively. So that they have put in place measures when it comes to, fluctuations in power and other power challenges. They have really put in place measures. For instance, we have a machine that is actually takes not so much, power, and sometimes we are even compelled to use our own generator because, when you compare with the normal electricity. It's even expensive.
The company has been able to achieve its first half production targets and is focusing on enhancing its Castlebridge brand.
That's all in business tonight. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abwaji Wiafe. For more business news, log on to myjournal9.com/business. Have a great evening.
The Nigerian police chief speaking in Accra confirmed the millionaire kidnapper is also known to have real estate properties here in Ghana housing his family.
Let me say AKA Evans was arrested 2 weeks ago in Nigeria. And this is a fugitive that we believe was, introduced a different novel idea of this kidnapping. He brought all his family to be based in Ghana while he stays in Nigeria and be kidnapping people. And when he kidnaps, his what do you call it? His price tag are always in dollars. $1 million, 50 million naira, 120 million naira. That's why in Nigeria they refer to him as a billionaire kidnapper.
Now, IGP Kotung Idris says the Nigerian police would wish to collaborate more with their Ghanaian counterparts to fight especially trans-border crime and discourage the activities of elements such as Chukubudem Onwa Kumadike.
He has 2 passports, Nigerian and Ghanaian passports. And like I said, his family and children are based in Ghana here. So I think it's very important they need to put an eye on his activities in Ghana. These are some of the issues, as you observe, these are some of the issues we have to together put our heads together to see how we can make the West African sub-region difficult for any will-be criminal, any of them.
Now, you stated that he has been operating on the coastline of the West African coastline. Can you tell us some of the countries?
And obviously, so far from our own end, we're able to track some of his properties in Lagos. We're able to track some of his gang members in Nigeria. But just like you observed, he may have some gang members in other places. And I think that's why I believe that the information we give our counterparts in Ghana, we're going to assist us to unravel some of these issues you are discussing.
Now, his Ghanaian counterpart, IGP David Asante-Petu, said Ghana is very much interested in such collaboration as intelligence sharing is critical.
We've come to realize that crime has become transnational, and therefore we can only fight this crime through international collaboration. This is exactly what we are doing. He's mentioned certain platforms like the West African Police Chiefs Organization and then the head of Interpol in Nigeria.
Well, the revelations by the Nigerian police chief only goes to confirm a well-known fact that many Nigerians, especially the wealthy, have made Ghana their second home. But could it also be offering refuge to known criminal elements from its Aboriginal neighbor? We're joined on the line by Chukwu Emeka Eze of the West African Network for Peace Building. Good evening to you, Mr. Eze.
Good evening.
And thank you for making time. Now, interestingly, I believe you're one Nigerian who calls Ghana home. Are there many like you?
Yes, of course. That is expected in a region where the ECOWAS integration process is actually encouraging the cross-border population to be in each other's country and also encourages the transaction of goods and services. You expect that a lot of Nigerians will be in Ghana, especially that both Ghana and Nigeria are Anglophone countries. And also, more importantly, because this is within the spirit of the foundation of ECOWAS as a regional economic community.
Now, by virtue of that same fact you're talking about, that many are finding themselves, finding Ghana their second homes, would you then say that it is inadvertently also harboring or offering refuge to criminal elements?
Of course, this is what you expect from this kind of integration process. It comes with the good, the bad, the ugly. And in this instance, you are seeing the other side of it, But I think what is important is the measures that should be put in place so that this kind of activities, this kind of criminal activities does not undermine the ECOWAS integration process. And in my opinion, I think that if you listen to the two Inspector Generals of Police, they have actually hit the nail on the head by discussing how they can have a sub-regional and a community approach to fighting such criminal elements.
Is this millionaire kidnapper known to the Nigerian community here in Ghana?
I doubt seriously. This is my, for example, this is my 7th year in the country, and I've never come across him. But of course, it's also possible that in some cycle he is known. You know, what happens is that such elements, they are wholly in the places of their abode, and then they have now where they operate those crimes, where they are in high demand. And in this instance, for the past 6 to 7 years, I'm told that this particular character has been on the radar of the police, because he did not just start as a kidnap kingpin, he started as a drug dealer. And to that extent, I think he lived in South Africa for a while, and this was not conducive for him, and then he changed his trade. And also looking at the trend, the trajectory shows that after the introduction of the electronic banking in the system in most of the countries in the sub-region, it became difficult for them to engage in acts of robbery and burglary. So this is the new trade that they are now engaged in.
Now, you just talked about the fact that he once lived in South Africa, but didn't find that place conducive. What is it in Ghana that is making it that conducive for him to want to come and settle here or operate from here?
Like I said earlier on, you see where he decides to reside, I don't think he commits those crimes. That's my assumption. And to that extent, so long as he have not committed any crime in Ghana, and so long as he is not in want in terms of his activities, and also including the fact that in South Africa, he probably needs a visa to be able to stay, and even a resident permit to stay beyond a certain period of time. Here, he has the luxury of 90 days at the minimum. And if he succeeds in getting a resident permit, and in this instance, I'm also told that he engaged on the blind eye of the immigration community and even got himself a passport. So to that extent, you know, and it's difficult really to know who is a Nigerian and who is a Ghanaian just by official look. So to that extent, and he also acquired a property. So to that extent, it's difficult to identify him on the radar or on the wanting list, so long as he has not committed any crime. But in Nigeria, it is a different case altogether because he committed crime and he is on the watch list of the police.
Now, there are some systems in place that are supposed to flag some of these things. For instance, if he's buying property in Ghana, he would have moved some illicit funds, or we're assuming that he would have moved some of the illicit funds to do that. How come the system is not able to pick up some of these exceptions?
Well, these are criminals, and the point here is there are many of his kind that probably are not lucky, and today he is one of those unlucky ones. But it also does not mean that we have 100% situation here where nothing ever gets on the blind eye. In this instance, for example, there are so many options that is available to him that as a criminal he can exploit. For example, is it that he can come with this money in cash? That's a possibility. He can come with it over a period of time and he is not caught. Or he can even use some of his members of his family or his gang to bring in the funds. That's a possibility. Is it also possible that in purchasing such property, he is also colluding with a Ghanaian, which is also possible? There are too many ways those criminals can beat the system, but it only takes a while, and today I don't think he is as lucky as he used to be yesterday.
All right, now taking yourself away from being the expert we're speaking to and being a Nigerian yourself, are you worried when you hear such stories? Because it tends to feed into the narrative that Nigerians are domiciled in Ghana and sometimes engage in crime.
Well, this is what you get in most urban cities in Africa. This is what you get. It doesn't matter the percentage of the people living in another country. So long as even 1% is committing crime, it is a dent on the entire nation. And to that extent, it's not only a dent to the Ghanaian authority in terms of the security apparatus, but now a national shame to the country, Nigeria. So if you hear this kind of thing, it undermines the effort of other citizens who are here to do legitimate business. And it also goes to increase the perception, of the security agents or even the state against a certain other country. So you won't be surprised if there is now increased vigilance on a Nigerian citizen coming into the country if people don't know what kind of business you're doing. So it also undermines tourism. So legitimate people that even come to stay for a while and look around because of this, taking advantage of this integration agenda of ECOWAS, they might find it difficult to be allowed into the country, except they give all proof about their mission. And this is not the intent of the founding fathers of ECOWAS.
Thank you very much, Chukwu Emeka Eze of the West African Network for Peace Building, and he was sharing some insights into the story that's coming up. The Nigerian IGP is cautioning or urging Ghanaian authorities to be worried about the activities of criminal elements who are operating. And it follows the exposure or the revelations that one Nigerian kidnapper, notorious kidnapper, actually had a Ghanaian passport and is domiciled here in Ghana, or has his family domiciled here in Ghana. Now, the head of local government service, Dr. Nana Atuata, has expressed disgust at the way metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies award contracts indiscriminately without considering the ability of the assemblies to pay. Addressing local government workers in the Volta region during a familiarization tour in Hull, Dr. Arthur blamed the development on the failure of the Regional Coordinating Council to effectively implement its supervisory role over MMDAs. Fred Kwame Asari's report.
Dr. Arthur, who is head of local government service, has advised metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives to consult the relevant departments in the assemblies when awarding contracts to ensure they can actually pay for their project. He also hinted there will be a massive shuffling of local government workers to ensure all MMDAs have a balanced human resource to deliver efficiently.
A recent task given to a 3-member team by the chief of staff, of which I was the leader long before I was appointed as the head of this service, gave me certain insight into what I consider a laxity in the RCC's monitoring and evaluation functions over the MMDAs. What we saw was that almost all the 99 MMDAs we dealt with in Central, Western, Greater Accra, Central, Western, Ronga, and Ashanti regions had uncompleted projects dotted all over. While they complained of inadequate funds, they were awarding new contracts, expected to be funded from the same sources of funding where they are inadequate.
He reiterated the local government service will soon request all employees to provide the original certificates to attest they duly qualified to occupy their current positions in the service. Dr. Arthur urged MMDAs to domesticate sister city partnership to share knowledge, to facilitate development and promote local governance in the country.
In the new head, I have no reason to witch hunt any staff. I don't know where the witches are. I don't know where the wizards are for me to hunt you. What I'll be hunting you for is professionalism. Very, very soon, we're going to ask all of you to provide your original certificates. There are some people amongst you who do not have the requisite certificates to be at where you are.
The Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lechan, commended local government workers in his region for exhibiting professionalism in the discharge of their duties. He, however, disclosed that the region lacks critical personnel in some areas, which has hindered on performance of local governments in the Volta region.
the past few months since my appointment, I've come to appreciate the vital role that the local government service is playing to deepen decentralization, promote democracy and development in our dear nation. I've come to appreciate that for the nation to achieve the mission and vision of the local government service, and for that matter, the development and effective functioning of the institutions of local governance in the country, we need a pool of very dedicated, qualified, well-motivated, experienced, and very disciplined men and women to carry out this important agenda.
Right, so it's that time of the year when coughs and colds are common. Just about everyone is catching the bug. I got caught last week, and you may have realized earlier in the bulletin, I'm yet to fully recover. Here at Joy News and in other offices around the country, there are quite a few who are also suffering and may have had to excuse themselves from work as a result. We will shortly be speaking to a health expert to explain the phenomenon to us and how, if at all, we can avoid catching the bug. But my colleague Hannah Dame went through our offices here at Joy News to assess how bad the situation is.
Last week I was down with the flu, but it appears I'm not the only one that was affected. I have some of my colleagues here who are equally down.
It started sometime last week Friday.
And so have you been using natural remedies?
Yes, some ginger and then sugar every morning. And yeah, it's been working. So
does it really help? Does it help?
After you've taken it about 2 hours, you feel very relieved.
Has it affected your work output in any way?
Well, to some extent, yes, because you're not in the best of shape to be able to deliver. You're struggling to catch breath and all that. But yeah, it doesn't change your understanding of the issues.
They've transferred it to me, and my nostrils are running, and my head aches, and I'm sleepy, and I'm dizzy.
And yet you have to work.
Yes, I think I need some days off. My boss has to give me some days off.
Do you think that will be granted, considering the fact that you're not the only one who has this flu?
Yeah, that's true. So all of us with the cold, we should all go off so that the newsroom will be sanitized and clean and better. Else everybody in the newsroom will catch cold.
So, Martha, how long have you had this flu?
A week and a half.
And what have you been doing? What remedies have you been using?
I've been to the hospital. I have medication, but it's not feeling any better. So I've been doing some home therapy, like lemon with warm water, to see if I can feel a bit better.
How has this affected your work output?
It's made me very slow because I'm uncomfortable. I feel weak. So sitting is now a luxury for me. If I'm able to sit, then I feel like I've made some progress, but I'm not feeling okay at all.
Probably you need some days off?
Maybe.
It's very terrible. I'm supposed to go for some documents at Legon and
for your show?
For my show tomorrow, and I'm not sure I'll be able to do that because excuse me. Because I'm unable to go because of the flu.
Have you taken any medication?
Not really. I'm drinking water. So
that's all. Have you thought of some painkiller or antibiotics?
I thought of paracetamol, but I decided not to take it anymore. I don't know.
Well, you don't even have the energy to walk to go by.
And I was supposed to have gone to the hospital too, but I couldn't walk. Honestly, around 12 p.m. I couldn't walk to board a car to the hospital.
Were you dizzy?
Absolutely. I was, shivering and so.
All because of the flu?
Yeah, because I have a show to produce too in the evening, and I'm not sure it's going to be possible.
Someone here leads a energetic young man in the Adum newsroom. He himself is battling some flu. Sammy, how has it been?
Okay, yeah, mine is going down now, but when it started, it took a very hard toll on me. Sometimes because our work demands a lot of thinking. Sometimes it's like you're just down. You can't even, the ideas are not even coming. Sometimes we think stuff like malaria and other things, but flu is bad. It's really, really bad. It slows you down. It makes you very uncomfortable. You can't think. you know, it just makes everything really go bad. So
this is how bad it affected you. Did it affect work output here as a leader of a team?
Obviously, that's what, because there's an assignment on the board for somebody to do. The person is down with flu, so we tell somebody else to now then continue. So it's really very bad.
Tell us, what's your situation with flu?
Well, I am not really doing anything special to treat it. I'm just taking in a lot of water, avoiding cold stuffs, and then taking a lot of ginger drink too.
Ginger drink.
Yeah.
But once you work in the air-conditioned building, how fast do you think you'll be cured?
I know it's also a problem, but thanks to the dispenser here, usually I just walk there and then I take some warm water to just dilute it. So.
All right, so joining me in the studio is Dr. George Bediako Inketia. He's a family physician specialist and he's a CEO of RNG Medical Consult. And he's going to be sharing some insights into this issue. Now, good evening to you, Doc, and thanks for making time. Now, is it the first thing that comes to mind is, as you heard everybody else say, it has to do with the flu. Is it actually a flu?
Okay, I think that a lot of people have a misconception. But when you talk about flu, people try to equate common cold to flu, but they are all viral infections of the upper respiratory tract infection. Commonly, we say the nose, the throat, down there. But when you talk about flu, it means that the virus is an influenza virus.
Okay.
Right? When you talk about common cold, it means there are other types of viruses that are causing the upper respiratory tract infection.
So what should we call it? The common cold or flu?
If you've not actually certified as to what is causing it, whether it's influenza, then it's better going upper respiratory tract infection.
All right.
But most of the time, there are things that could help you to know that this could most likely be a flu, or this will most likely be a common cold.
Is it a seasonal thing? Because at this time of the year, just about everybody else in the office is catching it. I've had my bit, and earlier in the bulletin, I had to cough while I was on air. It was well, quite distracting.
Yeah.
How common is it around this time?
Okay. Not much research has gone on here, so we don't really know the exact burden of flu, if you're talking about flu in our environment. And we are, because of our seasonal patterns, which is also different from elsewhere, where they have 4 seasons. Elsewhere, it's mostly in the winter periods, that's the flu. But common cold, you can catch it throughout the year. But in our environment, the sub-Saharan environment, we think that people tend to get it mostly during the dry seasons.
All right, but we're in the rainy season and we get...
As I said, it's throughout the year, but mostly during the dry season. But you can catch it anytime. It depends on whether somebody has it, spreads it, you get it.
Yeah. From the very little research that we've done here in the offices, it's clear that quite a number of people have caught the bug or have this common cold. Is this something, is it peculiar to us here in the office, or as at the hospital, you're getting cases like that?
I think that I would be right to say that it's one of the commonest cause of OPD presentations. Most of the time, people even misdiagnose common cold for malaria, but it's one of the commonest. And of course, if somebody should get a common cold, because it's very contagious, this virus, then it could easily spread. So depending on your preventive measures, it can easily spread from one person to the other. So if somebody gets it at an office where it's an enclosed place, then it means that everybody in the office, if the person sneezes, coughs, spreads the virus, everybody could catch it, especially if preventive measures are not taken.
And so what are the preventive measures that you would advise?
Okay, so one will be that you don't go near somebody who is severely sick with cold or, let's say, flu. Second, if you have a flu or you have a cold, then it means that if you are coughing or you are sneezing, it's good to just cover your mouth so that you don't spread it. And as much as possible, if you have it, you have to stay away from where a lot of people are gathered. And one of the areas that we think that people also get it is from tables. So somebody coughs, somebody sneezes, these droplets get on the table, you touch it, it goes straight to your mouth. So as much as possible, before your hands will go to your nose, around your nose, you should be washing your hands.
Yeah. It is also advised that instead of, when people want to cough, you say they should cover their mouth. So typically they'll just go this way, but it's also advised that they probably should use they go this way?
The ideal thing would be to have a handkerchief.
Okay.
I mean, something that at least could cover, because if you are going this way, it means that most of these droplets are getting into the air. Yeah. So something that could cover the place and prevent you from.
You also indicated that was one of the preventive measures is that people should stay away from crowded areas. Would you then advise that people who have or are developing the symptoms should be, giving excuse duty so they should go to their house and rest? And
I think so. If it's a severe, common cold, I mean, the typical common cold is not that severe. You have a runny nose, you could have some painful throat, you can have some mild fever, some mild headaches. Those ones are not quite severe. But when you're talking about flu, a typical flu, it's severer. The fever is high, you have more muscle pains or body aches. Some people could even vomit. For those ones, as much as possible, it would be good to. But even with the common cold, it's advisable that if you cannot prevent yourself from spreading it, then it's better staying at home. Otherwise, everybody around you is going to catch it.
Yeah, but how easy is it for anybody to come to you and say, I have a common cough, and are you going to just write an excuse duty to the person to go and stay at home?
If it's severe enough for the person to come to the clinic, then I think that the person will need some few days off so that the person will not spread it.
All right. Now, there's also been talk about local remedies, natural remedies. People who suggest that you can use ginger, all sorts of things, having honey, lime, lemon, and all that. What would you advise? Okay. Are any of them any effective at all?
Well, as you said, people have documented, people have said it, but we don't have much research to actually say that this type of local remedy helps. But different people from different places have said that these kind of things may help. But what we've worked on, what we just have proven is that when you have these things, you get some analgesics to take off your pains, some decongestants to try to clear the nose. For children, some normal saline drops to just clear the nostrils and some of these things. And one of the other things that helps is the steam inhalation, also tries to clear the nose. So it's actually trying to take care of the symptoms.
All right.
Because for most of these things, you cannot really, apart from flu where we have an antiviral agent that we use, you cannot really use any medication to kill the virus.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Bediako Nketi, as a family physician specialist, and he's a CEO at R&G Medical Consult. Thank you for making time to explain to us. And I think one of the takeaways many people will be taking from this is the bit about the fact that if you have a common cough, it may be a good excuse for you to get off work. And I'm sure something that's...
One last point?
Okay, you have one last point.
I just want to say that, as I said, these are caused by virus, but we have an environment where every common cold, people are using antibiotics to treat common cold.
Okay.
And it's really bringing a lot of resistance to antibiotics in the system. And it's even one of the things that I'm trying to research into. And I just want to use this platform just to, to give the information. People get common cold, they get to the drugstore, they are given augmented antibiotics. We are getting a lot of resistance. Common cold is caused by a virus, you don't need any antibiotics. If it's a flu, there are some antiviral agents like Tamiflu. If you remember 2009 when we had the H1N1, which we could use, that's Tamiflu that you could use. But for common cold, there's no need for antibiotics.
All right, so I was at the hospital last week and I was giving antibiotics.
Yeah, actually that's one of the things that we're actually trying to send information across. The common cold is caused by virus. There's no need to give any antibiotic unless there is a superimposed infection, bacterial infection, which normally you would see after some days, a week, when the cold is not really going down.
Yeah.
Unless it's a superimposed bacterial infection, there's no need for any antibiotics.
All right. Thank you very much. And we're moving on to other stories. A local fishing boat is one of our headline stories, carrying 10 people today capsized in Axim. No one has been, well, 2 people have been rescued, and 2 of the people who were rescued are currently in critical condition in hospital. 1 person is still missing. We can speak with Michael Adumaku, who is the morning show host of Ankobra FM in Axim, and he has been following the story since it broke this morning. Hello, what more can you share with us about this incident at Axim?
Yeah, thank you very much, Israel. This morning around 6:30, that we had information that one canoe named Adon number 5, the fisher folks went for fishing yesterday in the evening around 6 p.m. And so they were supposed to return this morning. But as tradition and custom demands in Azim, on Tuesdays, fisher folks are not supposed to go for fishing. And so those who went yesterday in the evening were supposed to come. But then they went to a nearby town called Program. According to an eyewitness who was there around 6:15, a lady who works with the coastal sanitation said she saw the canoe being capsizing. And so she alerted the community members, and then they informed the chief fisherman for them to go into the rescue with these 10 people. But the unfortunate thing is that all of them were drowned, but natives, and then the fisher folks were able to rescue 9 of them. But the 9 of them, 3 are kids, 1 16 years, 1 9 years, and then 1 11 years, meaning that they are teenagers. And then 2 of them have been admitted at our government hospital around 5:30 when we go to the hospital. They were there responding to treatment. But then the one, Mr. Ampofitevia, is about 56 years, has still not been found. Although fisher folks, leaders of the fishing communities, have been able to perform all the rituals that they believe they can bring Mr. Ampofi out from the sea. But as I speak with you now, he has still not been found. We spoke to the police, the Lembele police, and the information they're giving us is that they do not have a boat or they do not have any mechanism to get there, but they are cooperating with the fisher folks. And so the fisher folks have been using their canoes, patrolling and ensuring that they can get Mr. Tevia and Pupi. But as we speak now, the body has not been found yet. But the 9 people who are responding to treatment, but the rest are safe now.
All right, thank you very much for that update, and that's the report we're getting from Axim. It says that there was a boat with 10 people, it capsized. Now, 1 person is still missing. Some of them are in the hospital, and then there are about 3 minors also involved in all of this. So it's a story we'll be following here on Joy News, so please stay tuned. We'll be bringing you details as and when we have it. But thank you too for watching. My name is Solai. Have a good night.
This is Joy News Prime.